I don't think you realize what kind of trouble you were in last night.
What's that like to live deliciously?
Who do you think those people were? If I told you their names, I don't think you'd sleep so well.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Cult Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Maloof. With me, as always, my co-host, Dante Trowina. And what are we talking about this week, Dante?
I think this is our first movie of 2026.
Yeah, you're right.
We're going to the Bone Temple, baby. Last
Haha.
night I visited the Bone Temple myself. Had a great time. Want to get into it with my great Dr. Kelson.
Dr. Kelson, man. Should we just start there with Ray Fiennes?
That's where it starts and ends with me. As much as I did enjoy this whole movie, on another level, like one of the better characters you could ever ask for in any franchise. Just so awesome, dude.
Real quick, we should just introduce the movie a little bit, but The Bone Temple, the sequel to 28 Years Later, which came out last year, this now is the fourth movie in the 28 days / weeks / years franchise. We got to come up with a better name for this
The
franchise.
28 franchise.
28 I don't, that doesn't really have a nice ring to it for me.
No.
This is the fourth entry now in the franchise. This is a direct sequel to 28 Years Later. This was, I think, supposed to be, it was initially titled 28 Years Later Part 2, which it does very much feel like a Part 2.
Oh yeah.
I really just like the title, just The Bone Temple, better. I get that they have to have 28 Years Later in the title to like associate, for marketing, for people to associate it with the
Absolutely.
previous one. But I think I would have liked it better if this was just The Bone Temple, which is what I'm just going to refer to it as. We even
Yes.
get the title drop in the opening sequence that is just The Bone Temple. So I think that's what this movie should be called. But this picks up right after, we're basically right where we left off in 28 Years Later with the tracksuit ninjas, the Jimmies, who we finally have learned a lot about. And boy, are they up to some horrible shit in this movie.
Yeah, they are just pillaging and going around and having ruining your day if you run into them. As soon as you get to that scene where you're following this random party and they come home and say we have visitors, you know exactly who it is. You know exactly. They are unpredictable, but you know it's going to play out in a bad direction for sure. I think the tracksuit Jimmies are much more fleshed out here than they were obviously in 28 Years Later, when they popped up for about 5 minutes at the end. So kind of weird and fun to pick up their trail and what they're up to.
Yeah, so I want to talk about how this movie plays with 20 Years Later, how they kind of connect. There's a lot of connective tissue. This very much does feel like the middle chapter of a trilogy.
Yes.
I don't think this movie is incoherent. If you haven't seen 20 Years Later, you could still watch it, I guess, and kind of understand the story and the general plot, but you'd be missing out on a lot of detail and nuance. I thought the ending of 20 Years Later was kind of a bit hopeful. We saw Spike kind of
Yeah.
growing as a character, kind of becoming a little self-sufficient, and then the Jimmies kind of come in at the very end and save him. And I got kind of the sense from the end of that movie that these
Kind of a
might
friendly,
be
fun
that they
vibe.
were kind of
Yeah.
friendly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like this was like a hopeful like ending to that movie. And then no, not at all.
Nope.
The beginning of this movie just throws that right out the fucking window with they've kidnapped Spike and they're making him fight one of the other Jimmies to the death for the right to join this like satanic cult essentially that they've created. How did you feel about that?
It's funny because I agree with you. Like I felt like they were, you see the upside down cross and you obviously see that they're weird at the end of
Yeah.
28 Years Later, but you don't suspect that they're that malicious. You
Mhm.
suspect that they're out there just killing zombies for funsies, which I always thought was
They
a
saved
fun
Spike,
idea too.
right? They
And
saved him in the
they
first
saved Spike in a sense too. Um, it kind of felt like the end of like Across the Spider-Verse, where it was like getting the band back together. We're going to save Miles. And in this
Yeah.
case, the tracksuit Jimmys come in and we save Spike. And then it starts off in the most grim place imaginable with him just fighting for his survival in a pool with one of them who's been toying with him for hours
Yeah.
at this point. I think it was kind of a weird choice to put Spike in that situation, ultimately paying off in what I think is a good way. But you kind of get the sense at the end of 28 years that Spike is capable on his own and can kind of maneuver his way through this world. Needs a little bit of help, but can maneuver his way. And this movie puts him right into like, you have no clue what the hell you're doing, dude. Like you are way in over your head being out here on your own.
Yeah, I think he kind of regresses a little bit as a character.
Yeah.
I mean, he's trapped with this cult. They kind of won't let him leave. But I think there were multiple times throughout this movie where he easily could have escaped. And he picks the one most inopportune time later in the movie to actually try to escape and obviously fails. Um, I didn't love like where Spike is as a character in this movie overall. I thought he kind of went backwards a little bit. And he
I agree.
also does kind of take a back seat. He very much was the main character of 28 Years Later, where he kind of became it as
Yeah.
as the movie progressed. He's not really the main character of this movie. This is two plots that eventually converge on each other. It's Spike with the Jimmies, who our lead character there really is Jack O'Connell's Saint Jimmy Crystal, who is insanely insanely crazy and demented, but so fun to watch. Jack O'Connell
Yeah.
really was not aware of Jack O'Connell until Sinners last year, and now I'm all on board. I mean, I fucking love
Right.
this guy. So
Cast him in everything. Yeah.
yes, he's been around for a while,
This guy deserves the Pedro Pascal treatment.
sure.
Just put him in everything.
But he has been around for a while. He was on the British TV show Skins, and he I think was well known in the UK, British, Irish, English film world. But we I think are pretty new to the Jack O'Connell train. But I think there's room for everybody on board.
Well, it would be fun to pitch this character to someone who has no clue what this franchise is about. His name is Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal, and he thinks he is the son of Satan
Yeah.
in a way. And he is very influenced by the Teletubbies. And
Mhm.
you would just you'd start going off the rails so quick. And then you watch it and it makes enough sense that you're like, okay, yeah, I'm on board. And also, like you said, Jack O'Connell brings a lot to this character and just being Jack O'Connell and being so comfortable operating in uncomfortable scenes. I think he just thrives here. This movie feels really set up for him to succeed as a character.
Yeah, I think he is our main one of our main focuses anyways. The other
Yes.
main focus is the plot with Dr. Kelson and Samson, which I did not see that coming at all. Like the
No.
whole he befriending Samson, and I mean this like the early sequences of him like becoming friends with Samson, them sitting together like on the banks of the river and like chatting are like fucking hilarious because you're thinking at any moment that Samson is just gonna pull his head off, and but he
Right.
doesn't, and they kind of become friends. I did not see that coming at all in what is a really at times grim, dark, really mean movie. There's also a lot of levity, a lot of beauty, and like a lot of like really genuine sweetness that kind of comes through
Yeah.
in the Kelson and Samson relationship.
A lot similar to what 28 Years was, compared to the Bone
Mhm.
Temple. I just think the one, I think you're right about, like, it walks the line between horror and comedy so well, which is what so many great horror movies have done recently. Weapons, Get Out are a few that kinda come to mind. This definitely goes more grim than either of those movies and most even modern horror movies. Like, this is a very grim world we're living in. It is, again, 28 years later after a zombie apocalypse and set in a boned temple of dead bodies where the main theme of the last movie was Memento Mori. So it is very much not in a happy place, you would think, and it finds beauty in it. I believe Dr. Kelson even himself says something about peace and reprise,
Mhm.
peace and reprise.
Respite.
It's like respite. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Peace and respite. I had it written down here. Nothing wrong with peace and respite.
Mhm.
And I think that's just so beautiful. And just the buddy comedy that turns into a Samson, like you said, so unexpected. You could laugh at it, and then you can find a lot of meaning in it by the end. And I think that's really fun and something that this world has figured out how to balance really well in the last two movies.
Yeah, I wanna talk more about, like, the evolution of Samson and how this 20 years later and the Bone Temple now are really focused on evolving the virus, like, really focused
Yeah,
on the infected themselves and kind of trying to understand them and eventually evolving them. I mean, Kelson at the end of this movie legitimately develops a cure for the virus. He theorizes that there might be a psychological component. We see that early in the movie too. We see
right.
the reintroduction to Samson when he rips the hiker's head or the hunter's head from his body. We see through Samson's point of view and we
Yes.
see what he sees. So it kind of helps us understand why the infected are the way that they are. And then throughout the movie, we kind of begin to understand that through Samson a little bit more, through Kelson's relationship with him, culminating in that really cool sequence on the train, which is again harkening back to 28 years later. I love how connected these movies are, and it really feels like Alex Garland, the writer, really had a full vision of this story. Like when he wrote these three scripts, really
Yeah.
feels like he knew what he was doing. Um, and yet we see Samson as a kid, then as an adult on the train. I'm a little bit confused on if he got on the train as a kid or if that's just like a flashback part of the dream. I'm assuming that he was
Yeah.
on that train as an adult and then he became infected. But I think it's not really that clear. And then we kind of see what happened to him. We get some weird dream sequence with him. And then he actually speaks like a full sentence. He says the word moon to Kelson right
Right.
before he euthanizes him, which is like I was blown away. Like that's right there a really
Yeah,
big
we
leap.
were both Kelson in that scene.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What did you say? And then Samson speaks a full sentence on the train. He said, and like in fully coherent, oh, sorry, I don't have a ticket. And that's like when we really
Yeah,
realize that this virus is treatable.
right. And I think, like you said, it's a huh moment for us, and I had to watch this at home. I couldn't see it in theaters, but it was great for that scene because I literally just wait a minute, and did the 10 seconds back. Like,
Uh
did he
huh.
actually just speak?
Yeah.
And I was fully locked into the movie, but I was not believing what I was seeing, that he said an actual word there. And yeah, it feels like a fool's errand that Kelson is on.
Yes.
Even with the progress that he's made with Samson, it feels like no, I mean, you're a doctor. I get you've been researching this for maybe 28 years at this point, but you're on a fool's errand. It seems pretty uncurable at this stage, and he just kinda cracks it like one does. He and he's even nervous in giving Samson the medicine. You can see he's kinda like, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Uh
Like, I
huh.
think this multiplied by this plus this pill and crush this one up, and it'll help you out." And it does. Um it's a fun portrayal from Ray Fiennes even because to me it's a good script, but it needs an actor like Ray Fiennes. I don't think anybody else in the world could pull off this role, without it being, like, goofy and well, it is goofy at times, but without it coming across as unserious and
Yeah.
without stakes. The way he matter of fact delivers a lot of stuff that's happening or can accept the situations that are happening to him and the ridiculousness of it with his facial acting is something special, talent-wise.
Yeah.
As for oh, go ahead.
No, he's really sincere in the role. I think that's really
Yeah.
what like brings us in, you know? Like Ray Fiennes is known as one of the greatest actors like currently living, at least in our minds. I think a lot of people who like watch movies who know who Ray Fiennes is really have a strong affinity for him at this point. He can
Yes.
do no wrong really in our eyes, but there's levels to this shit, and he's at the peak of his powers right now. But
Yes.
he's very sincere, he's very empathetic, and I think that allows us to kind of go with him, even though it does, like you said, seem like a fool's errand to try to treat or befriend or do anything with this,
Yeah.
insane monster that Samson seems to be.
There's so much trust that he earns in us through the screen. Like, yeah, I'd follow Dr. Kelson to the ends of the earth. Like, he's a good dude, and I
Mhm.
think that's the a lot of people were concerned about the first 28 Years movie where it, kinda turned into a different movie by the end, and, like, Dr. Kelson's really cool, but what does this all mean? And the meaning that it delivers here, um, is great because of that first movie and because of the sincerity that we have built up and because of the love that comes full circle for Spike and the theme of Memento Mori, Remember Death. It's really important, and is delivered well by Ray Fiennes here. I think we could probably talk for another hour just about, "Hey, Ray Fiennes is good. Yes, I agree. Ray Fiennes is really good. Yes, I agree. He's the best."
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
We can talk a little bit more about him too as we get like into like the third act of the movie. Because it's like centered
Yeah.
around this big like performance by him. I want to save that for now. The technical aspects of this movie
Yeah.
too, all on point.
Still great.
I think this
Yeah.
movie is right on par with 28 Years Later. I still prefer 28 Years. Just generally, I prefer the story. I also really love the editing in that movie and just the feel and the tone of that.
Yeah.
This movie has the spirit of that, but it's a bit more muted. It's not quite as dynamic, especially with the editing and the cinematography. It looks great still. I mean, the cinematography is still top notch and
Yes.
Nia DaCosta, I mean, we come to expect this from her from all her real movies, the Marvels not included. They all look great. So I mean, we're expecting great production design, and that's what we got. I also really like that 28 or that the Bone Temple takes all of the most interesting parts of 28 years later and harkens back to them, expands on them. Like with
Yes.
Dr. Kelson, I think was my favorite part of 28 years later, the most interesting aspect of that story to me. But I also like that it's all connected. Like Jimmy is the kid that we had in the opening scene of 28 years later, right? And he
Yeah.
is constantly referencing the fact that he thinks his dad is Satan because in that opening scene, his dad becomes infected and it all takes place in a church. And he's even watching the Teletubbies, in that opening scene, which he also references. Um, so I really like that this really is a middle chapter and we really are expanding on some things that were just previously touched on in 28 years later, where this is the expansion of that. This is paying all that off, and fleshing out those characters, those story beats that we just maybe got hints at in the previous film.
Yeah, it makes the first movie better too, to me. Like, it makes me wanna go back and rewatch, 28 Years. I think it's really cool that it came out in such succession with each other, like, came out 28 weeks later,
Mhm,
actually.
mhm.
That adds a lot to it because I said kinda before we started recording, like, it feels like a DLC or a deluxe album, some little treat for us as fans to wrap up those storylines and shift the status quo into, the 3rd part of this trilogy, which we'll talk about later, but I think it sets a new status quo and kinda reshuffles the chessboard in a way that makes it fun going into the 3rd movie and gives us something to hopefully root for with a cure to these zombies, perhaps,
Yeah.
something that was cracked and maybe died with Kelson, but, Samson is still out there somewhere.
Samson's still out there. He seems to be like fully lucid at this point. Like he can
Yeah,
speak. It really seems like he is like normal again, or he's
yeah,
on the track to becoming like fully normal and fully cured. That has to play into the third movie. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves and talk about what
right.
we think the third movie is going to be. We can save that till the end. We can talk about the ending of this film, but I think that has to play into it. I think they're kind of moving towards a cure in the third film. That's how it feels to
Yeah.
me.
I think it's
Oh, go ahead.
fun because that's a good bookend to the overall story all the way set back in 28 Days Later, but also, I like what you said about Garland very clearly having a plan again for this trilogy because I think we were all kinda taken aback by the extra stuff in 28 Years because it was literally years after we had
Mhm.
watched 28 Weeks Later, and 28 Weeks wasn't really connected, and we didn't know how connected everything was gonna be, and the picture started to become clearer to us as viewers, so it again, that's what my point is, and that it enhances the world is that we have a very clear picture of where this franchise is going now, and that's really fun.
Yeah, also, I just like the tone of this movie and how it is slightly
Yeah,
different than 28 Years. Some really fun needle drops in this movie, like a couple Duran Duran needle
yeah.
drops. Um, Also, what's going on with the Radiohead song?
I'm
Why
out
is
on
that
it.
in everything? Did you notice that too?
Dude, and I don't even I'm not the bi I like Radiohead, but I don't like that song all that much, and I don't think it needed, like it didn't service the story at all
No,
in
it felt a
this
little out of
it
place.
it was just there, and all the other needle drops felt like fun and
Well, it's like
made
what
sense
Kelson
to
is
what was kinda
listening
going
to
on.
on
Yeah,
his records, yeah.
but then it was just like, "What can we put on this montage of cool shots that we got on set with with Nia DaCosta?" And I kinda like that like we talked about, Nia DaCosta is a good director. I think in Candyman, she really proved that she can do some wiggy and weird editing and different shots. I remember the opening title sequence from that movie showing all the streets and buildings upside down. I remember the shot of Candyman killing someone through the window, and it's panning out on all the
Yep.
apartments. I wish she went a little more wiggy with this movie, and did something with in place of that needle drop and embrace kind of that, like, let's do some weird cinematography shit. Like, we can pad out the runtime with that. I don't really care. If you're watching this movie, unfortunately, it seems like not a lot of people have seen this movie. So if you're watching this movie, you're fully in. So why not just do some weird shit? You're already doing weird shit with the tracksuit Jimmys. Why not just fully embrace the editing in the world and the spunk that it has to it?
Yeah, do you wanna talk a little bit about this movie's performance? It did not do very well at all in the box office. I think it's mostly out of theaters already, and it came out about a month
Yeah.
ago. Um,
Oh yeah.
what
Yeah.
happened?
I don't know because I think 28 Years did pretty
It was
well,
a
or,
moderate
like,
hit in theaters
it
last
did,
year. I think it did very well, especially for its
I
budget. So
I didn't, I think they assumed that a lot of people knew that this movie was coming out. Even in the, like, early marketing, it felt like it was like, "Oh, you know this is coming out, right? Like, the Bone Temple, it's
mhm.
happening." And I don't know if the buy-in was there from, like, the casual audience whatsoever. I think everyone who has seen this movie, probably literally everyone who's seen this movie, is a fan and is already bought in, and that's maybe the risk you take in making a sequel so quick to what is a niche franchise. Um, I don't know what they could have advertised better, though, about this movie because while Jack O'Connell um, is a developing star right now and is a recognizable face from Sinners, he's not like some star box office power yet. Ray Fiennes is a lovable face and someone we all know, but he is not some huge box office draw.
Yeah,
You know, he's been in a lot of, like Grand Budapest Hotel, a lot of offshoots that are not for the common audience, even if they are great movies. So that could be a part of it where the novelty of this franchise has returned with 28 years, whereas the Bone Temple did not feel like that triumphant return. But I just also don't get there's nothing in 28 years that's like I don't think Aaron Taylor Johnson's some huge box office guy
I mean, he's
or
probably the
anything like
biggest
that,
face
right?
besides Cillian Murphy, right? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the hype of
There's just some
the
huge
franchise
difference.
returning, or that movie also had a great trailer, a couple great trailers that I think got a lot of
Yeah,
people excited.
and a longer lead up.
Yeah, a longer build up. So that might have also been part of it. I'm just a little disappointed in all the 28 years later fans for kind of letting this movie down. I mean, I feel like all the big fans of that movie saw this one, but it just didn't
Right,
carry over. It didn't get the fans didn't bring their friends or some the
right.
general audience didn't carry over. And it's kind of a shame because this is planned as a trilogy. I think the third movie is still moving forward at this point. I feel like it would be a really strange decision to leave off here, especially with the ending
Yeah.
of this film. I don't think you can do that. But yeah, it's just a bit disheartening that this movie didn't perform as well as we wanted it to.
I I feel like dumping it in January was kind of a sign too of like
But it just was it for the
to the
gimmick of the
audience
28
of
weeks
the
thing, you know?
right.
But I don't know. January
That's
was
true.
good this year. I mean, January. Well, this is the best
Yeah, oh
January
yeah.
we've
Oh
had in a
yeah.
while.
Just from outside looking in on a lot of stuff, it seems like the general consensus was that it was a good month and pretty positive. But yeah, I think January in general still is just not like showing much confidence in your movie. But I don't know when else you dump this because Sinners was as early as what March last year.
April, I think. April
Um,
was Sinners.
it's it's just kind of weird. April 19th, that's right. But yeah, it's just weird that it didn't perform at least up to its budget, or at least up to enough to it's sad that we're talking about, "Hey, this is really cool and really taking shape, and we wanna see the 3rd movie," and there's already talk about, will there be a 3rd movie? And that's such a bummer, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I think this movie is definitely not reaching across the aisle and trying to court general audiences.
No,
The
no.
trailer, I mean, it was a decent trailer, but I think it accurately portrayed the movie. This movie is really fucking
Yep.
mean and bloody and gory. And it does have some moments of levity, like we mentioned already. But the overall sentiment, and I think the overall thing that people are going to take away from this movie is, wow, that was really bloody and really fucked up at times.
Yeah, it's like you said, not for a casual audience.
Yeah.
This might be like Alex Garland at his most Alex Garland of just the world is a grim place, and here are some weird parallels we have going on. And even for me, it was kinda hard to digest because it feels like one of those that you will, take away after a couple weeks and realize what you're actually seeing and what clicking the train moment in your head, what it actually means behind this, or it's one that will be expanded upon with fan theories. I think, there's also a chance though, Cody, for this to become like a cult classic,
Oh,
like
certainly.
28 Days was, right? I think it's already kind of a cult franchise in a way,
Hmm.
but this one really has the chance to like with this being the only appearance of Tracksuit Jimmy, really, in a film, this will
Yeah.
be, something that I think fans will embrace and look back on very lovingly, as it spreads through coming years. I think it will spread. I have no doubt in that.
Yeah, I wanted Jimmy to survive through this movie. Honestly, I didn't want
He's
him
just
to
so
die at the
interesting.
end. I think it would have been really fun to have him come back for the third film and
Without
be
his other Jimmies.
yeah, by himself and be
Yeah.
some, now that he's really has like a grudge against some of our characters anyways. I don't know if did Kelson die or not? I mean, I don't think it's left ambiguous. I
That's
think we're
true.
meant to think maybe
Yeah,
he died, but it's not shown that he did die. Samson kind of grabs him and walks off with him at the end. So
right.
we don't really know. He could
Well,
maybe come back. I would love to have him back personally.
so if imagine to like Jimmy embracing the Bone Temple as this cult leader now without any cult to be in it, and he's the next Dr. Kelson, but what you think Dr. Kelson actually is outside
Uh-huh.
looking in. Um, yeah, I think Dr. Kelson is out of the picture, but I could also see that's the key to the cure with Samson, right? So it would make sense to return Ray Fiennes. But it does feel like this beautiful bookend to his character at the end. It feels like he everything was in its right place,
Yeah.
in a way at the end there.
I want to go like get into the third act, kind of the climax of this
Yeah.
movie. Leading
Let's
up, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say let's talk about the fire scene in the barn really quickly first,
Yes,
'cause I think that kind of sets some things off.
that's what I want to talk about before, and that kind
Okay.
of leads into it. That is the most a grim scene I have seen in a movie in a while. I mean,
Yeah.
when they say, "I wanna take off his shirt," and you're like, "What? What is she gonna do?" Oh, fuck, then they peel the flesh off
Yeah.
these people, and it just this cult, this satanic cult that Jimmy Crystal is leading is just so fucked up, and I
Yeah.
again said I was not really expecting that. Didn't really expect, like, the themes of Satanism versus atheism to be so present in this movie,
Right.
but Jimmy really just runs this cult, like, just kind of not a care in the world sort of thing, and they just
Yeah.
break into this random people's house, just casually throw around that, "Yeah, we're gonna kill you," and there's no real reason
Yeah.
to why we're gonna kill you, but we're just gonna do it, and they flay the flesh off this guy's body. And then the worst part is when the girl says she's gonna take the guy's trousers off. I mean, that was really like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
god, like, it's
Yeah.
hard to watch, especially the second time, not as much because I kinda knew it was gonna happen, but the first time seeing
I
this in the
don't know,
theater,
dude.
yeah, it was
I'll
rough.
see on my second watch. Um, and in true cult leader fashion, he does none of the fucking work
Yeah,
himself.
he doesn't do anything.
He just sits back there. What a bastard. Um, I'd like to take this chance. I think Emma Laird as Jemima was really good. I thought it was funny. I didn't know, from the first movie that they were all some variation of Jimmy as their
Yeah.
name.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it was funny to have Jemima and Jimmy Fox and Jimmy Shite and Jimmy Jones. Just
Mhm.
all the different names were fun to have. Uh, as soon as they let the guy off the meat hook and said, like, "Take your pick," and he picked her, I was like, "You picked the wrong one, dude."
Yeah.
'Cause I've seen the rest of this movie or the beginning of this movie and their story to know that she is fucking demented, and she was just it was funny when she even said, like, "You picked me because you thought I was weak.
Mhm.
I am going to do the worst thing I can imagine to you." Like,
Well,
they would have just killed you.
Spike's just lucky that Jimmy is such a nice cult leader that he lets Spike take a break. You know, let him just
Right.
get away with that one and go sit outside because otherwise he would have been chosen. He definitely would have been
Oh,
killed.
jeez. Um, Erin Kellyman, I also wanted to highlight here as Jimmy. This might be I mean, she's been in some really good stuff, like, she
Mhm.
was great in The Green Knight in her little interlude that she
Yep.
has there. I think this is the best thing I've seen her in, or the best performance she's given.
Sure.
She was extremely likable here, she had the bad misfortune as being cast as the villain in, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show,
Yeah.
um, which did not do justice to how good of an actress she is. I kinda realized it here. Uh, like, I've seen her in things I liked, I've seen her in things I disliked. Oh, she's just a good actress. This is I think if this was a bigger movie, this would be like her coming out party as an actress in a way. She is very, like, warm at times to
Yeah.
Spike, which comes as a nice unexpected twist. But she also has, like, sadistic reasons for why she's in this cult, and she is very much like the 1A of this cult where you could picture her being the next Jimmy at some point if he were
Mhm.
ever to relinquish his power. She is fully bought into the system and just wants belonging in this world. I don't think she very much likes the cult that she's in. It's just that she's bought in because it gives her something to be.
Yeah, I also think she kind of thinks that Saint Jimmy is full of shit. Like throughout the
Oh,
movie,
yeah.
she kind of
Yeah.
just doesn't she doesn't really respect
And
him.
calls him
She's
out on it. Yeah.
calls him out. She's kind of just there because she has nowhere else to go, like you said.
Yeah.
She is great though. She's the most
She's a mongrel.
distinct of all the fingers. I That's my
Yeah.
one kind of issue with the Jimmys is they don't feel very distinct. None of the other
Yeah.
ones really get any time to shine besides Jemima with that
Jemima.
that one scene. Um They don't really feel like they differentiate themselves, but she does because she has such a distinct look, and she also gets by far the most to do out of any of the fingers. And you're right,
Yeah.
she's actually very kind of nice to Spike at moments, and she really does seem to like him. And then, of course, the end. I don't think we've seen the last of her by a long shot. Of course, we're going to see
No.
her again. They're going to probably lead right into the
Yeah.
beginning of part three.
I think that's where we kinda get into, like, my problem with the film that I had is, like, it either needed to be a 45-minute drop it on HBO or something, like DLC pack, or it needed to be another, like, 20 minutes to flesh out some of the Jimmies. I think Jack O'Connell's performance and, again, Aaron Kellyman's performance are both really good. I think the rest of the Jimmies I could care less about.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think that was supposed to be the point there. I don't think they were supposed to feel as, um disposable as they
Hmm.
became. I felt like we were supposed to feel some sort of impact, and the last 2 are the least developed of the 2 Jimmies. The other 2 that are lasting with Spike
Right.
and,
We don't know
Jimmy
anything
Inc.,
about
who's
them.
Aaron Gil we don't know anything about those 2. There's no budding rivalry with them or anything. There's no sorta Hunger Games type, like, "Oh, this is our villain here
Hmm.
underneath," and I think cults often have, like, that 1A or 2A person that is maybe even more fucked up than the cult leader, and we didn't get any of that, and that kinda bummed me out because I think that could be padded out with the runtime.
Yeah, the one thing I really wanted to touch on with that scene in the barn, because it's
Yep.
juxtaposed with the scene of Ray Fiennes and Samson, like really kind of having a real moment together.
Yeah.
Um, and really think that's what Garland is getting at with this movie is the
Yes.
contrast of the so-called monsters being like docile, civilized. He's even evolving in that scene,
Right.
versus the humans who are being the real ones that are depraved,
Yeah.
these savages, and they're devolving. I think that's like really what Garland is trying to get at with the idea
Yeah.
of this cult of Jimmys is, and directly comparing that to Samson's evolution, trying to say here that this world has like totally been flipped on its head,
Oh,
even
yeah.
with a lot of the upside down crosses and all that sort of imagery. This world is like completely backwards, and that this is what happens when things fall apart. Is people are so quick to devolve and eat
Yeah.
each other, for lack of a better term.
A lot of the same, thing that he did in Civil War,
Yeah.
with Jesse Plemons' character popping
Hmm.
up there, like, who's the real villain here? But I think that's one of the best of his ideas in these 2 films that have come in the past year or so. I think that's one of the best ideas he's had about just showing us, and, it's the one that I think he has a lot of fun with, in a way with the skinning, as sadistic as it is. I think
Hmm.
it pushes him as a storyteller a bit to delve into some uncomfortable stuff, and I think he's always thrived in telling uncomfortable stories, and that's where I think this movie starts to really pick up steam. I think the first 30 minutes are fine. The middle 30 or so are really good, barn sequence on, and once we figure out what's going on with Samson, and then the 3rd act is, really what we're gonna take home from this movie, I think.
Yeah. So that leads us right into the third act when
Yep.
they or what's the
Well, so
go ahead here. Go ahead.
Aaron Kellyman's character, Jimmy Inc., goes
Jimmy Inc.
over throughout the day, and is runs into the Bone Temple,
Hmm.
basically, and sees him quite literally dancing with Samson, sees Kelson and Samson dancing, and she's like, "Hey, dude, I just saw, do
Old
they say
Nick.
Saint Nick or Old Nick? Old Nick. I just saw Old Nick." So she comes back, and sits outside with Spike while they're skinning, or taking the shirts off of their people. Um, when Spike is supposed to capture one of the barn people, who has escaped, he does not. He goes back to Jimmy, and Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal is going to effectively put him in another one-on-one combat situation, which he will not fare well in. Basically, all the other Jimmys except for Aaron Kellyman's Jimmy, are begging to have a 1v1 with Spike at this point. Um, Aaron Kellyman says, "Hey, th this is part of our cult, is that when we see Saint Nick, we need to, or Old Nick, we need to go to him and ask for his permission. I just saw him." And so that leads us on a small wild goose chase for Old Nick, who, um, Jack O'Connell's Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal is identifying as his, father figure, but not too convinced by it. in Dr. Ian
It
Kelson,
it
and that's
feels
where we
like
get
she
to the Bone Temple.
it feels like she does actually think that that is old Nick, though.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it feels like
yeah,
she's
she's bought
fully
in.
like, "I actually
Yeah,
saw him." Like, when she says that, she's very sincere. You know,
yeah,
there's
and when
it
they get there, she's excited as hell
uh-huh.
to be there. Yeah,
And honestly, that's like the one of the funniest parts of this movie is, of course, being in this fucked up satanic cult where you maybe actually believe that your leader is the son of Satan. Sure,
yeah,
there's a crazy motherfucker dancing around with an alpha covered in
looks
what
like
you
Satan.
looks like so covered in red, what you probably assume is blood, in a bone temple. Yeah, you're probably gonna think that that is Satan on Earth.
Right, right.
Um,
That's how far gone these characters are.
And then how quickly Jack O'Connell, like, spins that, and he's like, "Oh, that's him, all right, but this must be one of his newer castles, maybe in the last 5 years. It doesn't look very new." Well, I mean, new is in architectural terms, like, he's just quick to spin it, and I love Jack
Yeah,
O'Connell's demeanor throughout this movie where he's kind of just, like, mildly amused with, like, everything that's going on around him. He gets mad a couple times, like, especially at the end when the barn
yeah,
burns down and it doesn't, like, go how they want it to, but, like, that cut from when the guy in the barn gets lit on fire and it cuts to Jack O'Connell's face and he's just kind of like, "Oh, Jesus, like that's kind of
yeah.
crazy." Like he's not
Like,
like super
holy
freaked out.
shit!
He's just like, "Oh, geez, wonder what's gonna
Like,
happen here."
I I've got a lot of power over these people. I think he realizes throughout the movie how much power he has over his jimmies.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's fun too, and that's where I say, like, I think Jack O'Connell, I would love, like, 10 to 15 more minutes of screen time with him, and the
Yes.
Jimmies, because I could just watch them all day. I did need a little bit more by the end of this film with him.
But
I love the conversation when he
yes,
goes down to confront Dr.
because he
Kelson
actually
or
thinks that he actually might be Satan too. He's like,
Yeah,
are you old Nick?" Like he actually thinks that
right.
he is.
He's trying to buy into his own philosophy in a way.
Yeah.
Like, "Wait a minute, was I right this whole
Uh-huh.
time?" Um, and that conversation he has with Dr. Kelson, it's like I wrote down in my notes, I was like, "Nobody needed a Kelson therapy session more than Jimmy." Because we saw what Kelson can do for peace of mind, especially in the
Mhm.
last film, and he has quite literally tamed an alpha. He has the Midas touch of therapy. So I was like, "Yeah, Jimmy needs this right now." And then it turns into, "Well, we think you're, old Nick, the devil, and, you're gonna put on a show for us and my Jimmies, because if not, I will, like, rip your guts out and feed them to you."
Mhm.
And, Ray Fiennes in classic fashion says, "Oh,
Oh,
I see
oh
how
yes.
that is a strange predicament, yes." Like, okay. And just, uh, gives the performance of a lifetime after that, which
Yeah,
I think we've been dying to get into.
I really like the philosophical debate that they have because Jimmy really
Yes.
believes that the virus was like unleashed onto this earth from Satan as
Yes.
punishment, right? And he kind of has a right to believe that with what he experienced as a kid, and he's kind of still carrying that with him. He kind of fully believes that Satan is the reason that this virus has happened, and the man is being punished, and it's kind of Jimmy's um,
Yeah.
duty to go around and like do Satan's will onto like all the surviving people. And Kelson, the atheist doctor, is like taking the exact opposite stance, right? He's a very logical person. He's a man of
Right.
science. And it's just kind of funny to have him see his reaction to Jimmy telling him his like frame of mind because he's just like, this guy's fucking crazy. Like, but he's like very like kind about it though. He's very understanding. But at the same
Right.
time, you can totally see in his eyes that he's just like, oh yeah, this guy's a total nut job.
It's almost like Kelson can kinda tell how Jimmy's arrived at that point.
Yeah.
Like, "Okay, this is, maybe where I would be if I was more religious," but he's full on. Even when he's curing Samson, he doesn't say, like, "Praise God," or "It's a miracle of God,"
Hmm.
it's very much to him a miracle of science and his own experiment, and
Right.
what I like is he never becomes vain in those moments. He never becomes, "I have found the cure,"
Uh huh.
or he's never elevated himself. He's just trying to figure it out,
Hmm.
and that's what makes the debate with him and Jimmy so interesting, is that he very much is a pure scientist.
But yeah, that gets us into the third act finale of this movie, which is Ray Fiennes pretending to be Satan to convince all these Jimmies to essentially just keep following Sir Jimmy Crystal, save Ray Fiennes' his own life, whatever.
Heroes.
Um, but yeah, it's just like a wonderful, like big performance from Ray Fiennes when he like puts on this show. He puts on the Metallica record, Number of the Beast, and kind of gives this interpretive dance performance to all the Jimmies dressed
It's
as
great.
it's hilarious and it is so great. It's kind of funny that that is essentially the finale of this movie. That is the big climax. He's like has all this white paint and black stuff in his teeth, and he's really like going for it, really assuming the
Yeah.
character of Old Nick. It's a nice touch that he blows like kind of the is it like crushed up morphine or pain pills or something into their
Right.
faces to kind of make them
Yeah.
start tripping a little bit, so they really buy into the idea that he is Satan.
When he repurposes the things that he's burning, or cremating people with basically, and is flipping it around and
Yeah, with
causing
making the big shower of
little
sparks.
sparks to go yeah, like, um, it's funny to me, Cody, because, like, we both thought, like, "That's a weird out of place ending in the last film," and maybe at the start of this one, I was kinda like, "This one might be a little too weird for me, actually, with the Jimmies and what's going on,"
Uh-huh.
and then by the end of the movie, I'm, like, kinda nodding my head, watching Ray Fiennes do an interpretive dance as the devil.
Well,
Um,
he just really
that's
holds this movie together. Like, if you don't have
yes,
Ray Fiennes at the center of this movie, I really don't think it works as well as it ended up working.
not
Uh,
even close.
he holds the screen, and like we've already mentioned, he's empathetic, he's kind, but he also can like pretend to be sinister very convincingly.
Yeah,
But we're in on the joke, so it's kind of funny to us. It's just a very unique skill set that Ray Fiennes brings to this movie.
yeah, keeping you uncomfortable while putting a smile on your face. From the first scenes with him and Samson and playing that cat and mouse game
Uh huh.
where Samson's charging him and waiting for him to lose his breath, and then coming back up and charging again because he's, doing the blow darts at him, to the last scenes of him, dancing around as Satan, and then eventually laying in his own bone temple. Like, it's just such a wide range of a character, and it all fits perfectly, and it's not like they found a diamond in the rough in Ray Fiennes, but again, I can't stress enough, like you said, he holds this movie together. There's no one else in the world that I think could do this role, like, seriously.
Yeah.
And yeah, the eye paint, every little detail that he has at the end, like, he looks like a full-on freaky, like, demon lord in his bone temple, and I can see why they would 100%, like we said, buy into him being, Old Nick. He I like, the part Jimmy is kinda convincing himself and getting into the performance.
Uh huh.
Because while Jimmy believes in Old Nick and maybe thinks that it's not Ray Fiennes, there's still that or Dr. Kelson, there's still that level of him that's scared of Old Nick and scared of
Hmm.
his own father.
So maybe
So
it could be.
he's still not comfortable with the performance, and so everybody else is dancing around and having a great time, and he's, like, kind of, like, finding the rhythm to the beat and figuring out what if he likes what's going on or not, really.
He even says
Um
to him when they first talk, like, "Old Nick's known for being a trickster. You know, are you sure you're not Old Nick?"
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he ever trusts that he's not.
Yeah.
I think, Kelson's great performance even convinces him for a bit that he might be Old Nick there.
I want to shout out just the Bone Temple set in general. I love that we spend
Oh,
more
man.
time in it. It's awesome. It is like the best location, the best set I've seen in a movie in a long time.
Yes.
Going back to 28 years, we get more of it in this. I really love how they dress up the set for the third act climax with all the lanterns
Yeah.
everywhere and the torches,
Yeah.
and it's super creepy
At night.
and
Yeah.
it looks amazing and it's shot really well. We get those two overhead shots when Kelson lights that ring of fire and we get that
Incredible.
bird's eye view of the bone, that circular view of the fire. Looks fucking awesome. That's probably my favorite shot in this movie, in a movie that is full of really cool shots and
Yeah.
moments. I just want to shout out like the production design of this movie in general is awesome. I love the way they use colors, the tracksuits of the different Jimmies, the blood on or the red iodine on Ray Fiennes and his blue,
Yeah.
bright blue eyes like kind of shining through. It's awesome. And then we end
Yeah.
the movie with Ray Fiennes no recognizing Spike. And that's what I was waiting for the whole time was as soon as they get because as soon as they get to
Yeah.
like the outside of the Bone Temple, Spike immediately knows what it is, right? He
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
knows
Yeah.
what's going on there. He knows that it's not old Nick. He knows that Jimmy's full of shit. He should have tried to escape at a bunch of different times before that. But going in there, it's kind of interesting to get to kind of go in from Spike's perspective because he's like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, what is Dr.
Right.
Kelson doing?
Right.
Like,
Dr. Kelson's tripping, man.
yeah.
I like that he puts his little tennis shoe mask on too, and even through the mask, Dr. Kelson recognizes him.
Mhm.
And that's just again playing into how we talk about sincerity and even purity in Dr. Kelson, that he can recognize Spike just from his eyes through there. And he even impromptu on the moment thinks, I have another commandment. as old
One
Nick
more.
here, and it's beautiful, this bond that they have, and I love that it actually means something. Like the first movie and that last half of the first movie really means something to this film, and that's really cool to see.
He even when he's talking to Samson, he even references it. He says, "Memento mori," I said to the boy, and he's
Yeah,
not even thinking that he might ever see him again.
yeah, it had an impact on him. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love direction.
I would have been really disappointed if we didn't kind of get a reunion with Kelson and Spike. And then of course what comes out of that is hilarious, and it's a great ending with
Yeah,
commanding one more thing that Jimmy, the son of Saint of Old Nick, needs to be crucified like the Son of
right.
God, and he's up crucified upside down on the cross. Just a really,
Incredible
really good
shot.
ending. A
Yeah,
great shot. I love when the camera like rotates around and then comes up. It starts like upside down and then
yeah,
flips over, and tilts up. Um, yeah, just a great ending for this movie. I think a very worthy conclusion for the character of
yes.
Saint Jimmy Crystal, even though I kind of wanted him to live through this. It totally makes sense that this is how we leave him.
It's a very fitting ending. This is where I maybe think because, uh, I don't wanna discount the first part of the movie, but because the ending is so good and because everything from that barn sequence on is really just terrific, and I think plays to the best of what Jack O'Connell can do and the best of what Ray Fiennes can do, but also brings in, Alfie Williams as Spike more into the story there. That's why I do say this could be like a 45-minute to an hour movie and be like an interlude. I think that's maybe where we talk about the marketing misstep is that this feels like it's very much like a bridging gap or a spin-off. It doesn't feel like its own movie in marketing.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where it very much is its own movie, but that's kind of where it maybe fell off for some people, or that's why some people might skip it or say that they're going to watch it when it comes to them at home on a streaming service because it doesn't feel as much like essential watching. It feels like the Silmarillion as compared to Lord of the Rings. It doesn't feel like something you need to do to impact the main story
Yeah,
until you watch it, and
I
I
was
think it will.
actually kind of thinking a little bit about the Two Towers watching this movie.
Yeah,
How the Two Towers, I mean, it's really you can't really compare anything to Lord of the Rings. Obviously, those movies are like in a league of their own. But the Two Towers to me does feel a little bit like it has middle chapter syndrome.
yeah,
Just how it does just feel like the bridge between the first and the third. This feels very much the same. Um, Not obviously reaching near the highs that the Two Towers reaches by any means.
yeah,
But it does feel similar. Like it is the bridge, it is the middle chapter. Um,
yeah,
I think it's an interesting point you bring up. I don't think this would have really worked as like a 45-minute interlude. I think that would have really cheapened it and it wouldn't really have motivated anybody to watch it that
yeah.
wasn't already invested in this franchise. Not that I think obviously this movie didn't do well at the box office, so I don't think a lot of people
Right,
watched it
right.
anyways
Anyways,
that weren't involved in the franchise. Um, but yeah, maybe it could have been a bit longer and fleshed out some of the Jimmies. Um,
either direction. I just think the runtime in itself was kind of weird. Either direction, longer or shorter, it needed to go
It does take a
somewhere.
little bit to get going when we're cutting back and forth from the Jimmies to
Yeah,
Kelson and Samson. It feels a little bit like just a little stagnant. Maybe where are we going? Like how is this going to connect? And then once the two plots converge, that's when this movie really hits its stride.
yeah.
You want to talk
It's
about the ending, like
no,
the final scene?
just really quickly, it's really fun that to have a good like middle movie. And you mentioned like the Two Towers, and that's why I think Two Towers is the reason we say Lord of the Rings is all one movie because it's such a great bridge.
Right.
And I think that's what this movie can do is that it can be such a great bridge between 28 years and 28 years part 3, whatever that's going to be, and make a full trilogy there. But sometimes why the middle movie can be either the best or worst in the trilogy, because it will take those swings while trying to bridge a story. And I always think the best middle movies are ones that go crazy with it and reset the status quo, and that's what it does by the end of 28 years and really puts us back into, um, who will be the next Lord Voldemort apparently after Ray Fiennes.
Well, we'll
Our
see.
guy our guy
I
Cillian
don't know.
Murphy
I don't
returns.
want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that.
Let's not bring Harry Potter into this
No.
right now.
But yeah, this movie, the ending essentially, really the ending is Jimmy Crystal being crucified. That's the ending of this movie. Then we get an epilogue, which isn't a post credit scene, but really feels like a post
Oh, it's
credit
so
scene.
good.
And we cut back to Killian Murphy's character from 28 Days Later, he has a daughter, and he's
Yeah, with
homeschooling
Naomi
her
Harris,
with
presumably.
Naomi Harris. We don't see Naomi Harris in the scene.
Yeah.
Unknown if we're gonna see her in the next movie or not. Um, but he's homeschooling his daughter. They seem like a really nice family. They have a nice life going. They seem to have made a little piece of, home for themselves
Yeah.
I think they're in the Scottish countryside is where they ended up at the end of
Mm,
28 Days
really
Later.
similar to the barn we're at in the middle of the movie here too.
Yes.
Really similar setup.
And then the movie ends with, them seeing Spike and what is it, Jimmy Inc. or
Jimmy
what
Inc.
was her actual name? I can't remember.
Williams is the last name. One second.
No, no, no. I
What
mean, what was her
Aaron Kellyman.
no, no, no. What was her
Oh,
character's actual name? I don't remember.
oh
Anyways, because
crap.
they get
Yeah,
rid of the
that
Jimmy
was
thing.
beautiful that she
Yeah,
introduced herself with her real name
yeah.
too.
She said, "Oh, your name's Spike. I think it was like, I want to say like Liz or something. I can't remember.
It was something really simple.
I can't remember. But anyways, they're on the run. They're together. They're running from a bunch of infected. Killian Murphy and his daughter go to help them, and then we cut to credits. Um, feels like a little bit. I mean, it totally is tacked on. Feels like that really could have been the beginning of the third movie instead. I understand why this was put in at the end of this movie to get people hyped for the third one, let them know, hey, the third movie is coming. Killian Murphy's going to be in it. Get hyped for that one. I think he alone is going to get people in seats
Oh
more
yeah.
than the more people are going to see that one than this one just based on him alone. I think it's interesting what his character represents or how his character is used in this franchise because he is the main character of the first one,
Right.
but that's it. He's not in 28 weeks at all. He's not in 28 years at all. And those movies don't really have a lot to do with 28 days. So I don't really know if we even need him to come back. I think he could have just been the character of the first one and that's
Yeah.
it.
I'm cool with him coming back.
Oh,
But
me
yeah,
too.
I agree
Me
with what
too.
you're saying. Like, and I just we've never had a franchise like this. Like
Yeah.
we keep glossing over the fact that like, yeah, there's a trilogy now, but there's two movies that were made very early in the 2000s. It's been what 26 years since the first 28 Days Later was it made in 2002, right? So it's so it's such a weird like you said he kind of resembles we all speculated that he would be back in 28 years. And even when the first trailer came out, somebody thought one of the zombies was
Yeah.
him. I think a
Mhm.
lot of us thought that when seeing
Yeah.
it. And so he is like a symbol for this franchise, but now he's also had a huge bump as an actor,
Yeah.
especially with Oppenheimer, and is probably going to become a big box office draw, I think. I don't think he's really been in anything since Oppenheimer, if I'm
Like some small.
correctly.
It was a movie called like Small Things Like These or something. He's done some like small indie roles, like at least
But
one.
nothing really that's been in public eye.
No, nothing big.
And so it'll be interesting to see if when they make a third movie, they should. Uh,
I
he
think
might be
they're
like a
gonna.
box office pull there. And just yeah, curious to see what impact his character has on the franchise coming back.
Yeah, well, the third movie too, Danny Boyle said he wanted to direct it. So that
Yeah,
alone to me says that movie's gonna get made, and they're teasing it
no matter
at the end of
what.
this one. That movie is getting made. The script has already been written by Alex Garland.
Right.
Um, yeah, if Danny Boyle's on board with that, it's gonna get made. He's gonna push it through, and I'm
Yeah.
really hopeful for that. I really did enjoy Nia DaCosta's direction in this movie quite a bit. I think she is a very worthy successor to Danny Boyle from 28 Years.
Oh yeah.
But I want to
Yeah.
see Danny Boyle come back. I love the dynamic nature that a lot of his movies have. I really, really enjoyed 28 Years Later. I think this movie is very comparable to 28 Years in pretty much every
Yeah.
way. It just doesn't reach those highs. It doesn't have the crazy editing. It doesn't have the nighttime like
Right.
alpha sequences with like the red filter on it. It's just this movie's a bit more muted. It's a bit
Yeah.
more traditional, I guess, in a sense. But that being said, it's still probably one of the best made movies we're going to see all year. Like as far as
Oh yeah.
tone, lighting, cinematography, has great performances. This is going to be one of like the top probably 25 movies of the year for me, anyways. Just
Yeah.
like how it feels right now, this will probably like be at the upper echelon of the movies I watch in 2026.
It will not even be considered for any like set piece type Oscars, which
I
is
don't think so.
insane.
It
If the
should
first
be.
one didn't, this one won't. But like you said, this is one of the best sets you could ever ask for in any film, and makes use of its environment very well. I think it is missing that last, like you said, like cherry on top or like last coat of paint or
Yeah.
sealant on it, that Danny Boyle provides. But I agree with you. Like Nia DaCosta, there isn't like some big dip in visual language or how this is directed here. It doesn't feel like it's made from a different person,
No,
really.
no. And
It's all one narrative voice.
this is a great win for Nia DaCosta after the Marvels. Again,
Good
we've
for her.
said
Yeah,
before,
good for her.
not her fault. I don't think anyone that knows anything about movies or what they're, about entertainment, you know what you're talking about. You know that the Marvels was doomed from the start, or even if it was good or bad, you really couldn't put that on Nia DaCosta because the way Marvel makes movies does not favor a filmmaker's vision. So
Yeah.
this movie feels really like Nia DaCosta got to get back into like real movie making, um, do a lot of like put a lot of stuff out there, try different
Like,
things.
be a director.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be a director, right? Pull some tricks out, try to make a real movie. And so she's gonna be fine. She made another movie before this too, a couple years ago. I can't remember the name, but that really had a lot of
Hedda.
Hedda. Yes, that was
Hedda. Yeah.
2025. I haven't seen Hedda. I need to go back and watch it,
Heard
but
good word of mouth.
heard a lot of great things about it. So she's in a great spot. But yeah, overall, really, really enjoyed this movie. Excited to see what Nia DaCosta does next. I actually
Yeah.
reviewed Candyman for the Northern Arizona University for the NEU newspaper, the
Nice.
Lumberjack when it came out. So
I really
you know,
like that.
I've been paying attention to Nia DaCosta for a while, and I great things. I'm always expecting great things from her, and she consistently comes through.
Yeah, I think she's, raised the floor of a lot of these movies she's gotten, like Candyman, like 28 Years, The Bone Temple here. Not that, um, anything was, like, bad in those movies, it's just that she kept them from dipping at any point. Like, you're definitely on board with them throughout. I think, like, the lowest moments of this movie are not low at all, and I think that's, like, the best compliment I can give her. She's been a great floor raiser for some, films that are kinda in a weird place. I think Candyman's more of that, where that was about as good as the Candyman
Yeah, and I didn't
movie could have
love
been.
Candyman, but that was more to do with the script and, like,
Right.
the overall ideas. I thought visually and, like, from a craft perspective, again, that movie looked really good, and that's when I think you can say that
Yeah.
about all of the real Nia DaCosta movies, is that they all feel very, very well crafted.
I think that was the best way that story could have been told. I don't think we're getting much else from other people from that. I'd be really interested to see her with her own real original material, what she can pull off, which might be Hedda. Might be us just missing that.
Yeah, I have to go
Um,
watch that.
kind of a bummer that she's never gonna work on superhero films again because I think she had a pitch for, like, a New Gods film for DC with
Mm.
Mr. Miracle, which would have been amazing, but now Marvel had to kill that, so, like you said, if Danny Boyle, can get that shitty Yesterday movie with the Beatles pushed through, I think he can get the 3rd movie in this one pushed
Sure.
through. I think he's got a green pass for the 3rd.
Yeah, overall, I think this franchise is in a good spot. Unfortunately, this movie didn't perform at the box office, which gives me a little bit of trepidation, but
Yeah,
the 3rd movie, from all accounts, is still happening. If it doesn't happen, that's gonna be really sad, but I think Sony is
yeah,
behind this franchise still, so I
I think so too.
it, yeah, very unorthodox franchise, like you mentioned, um, but I'm glad we're
So
getting it.
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm glad we're getting this, trilogy that I don't think when 28 years later came out, I don't think we really
No,
knew we
no.
were getting a trilogy. I think maybe the insiders, people in Hollywood maybe knew, what the plans were, but this was not marketed as a trilogy.
We kinda find out while reviewing that film.
Yeah.
"Oh, there's another one?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's just how it operates, it's different, and I think that's again part of the what we talked about is, like, we're kinda figuring out as fans what's going on with this franchise, and me and you will take more of it no matter what. We'll be the only 2 people there if for all we care.
Yes, we will be seated certainly for 28 years later, part 3. I wonder what the subtitle is gonna be, for that one. Should be interesting. Anything else here to wrap it up, Dante?
Dr. Kelson Super Bowl halftime show next year?
Oh, yes.
What say
Definitely.
you? What
Definitely.
imagine how pissed the people would be. Go from a rapper to Baboni and something all in another language, and now we're going
And
straight religion,
yeah, and then we get
Satanist worshiping.
an atheist doctor performing a satanic, um,
You don't do
interpretive
that.
dance.
How great would
Awesome.
that be?
Gotta love it. Alright, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Out on digital right now. If you haven't seen it yet,
Watch it.
yeah, watch it.